Click that play button so you know what you're listening to. That's effing weird, and it's a Fishbowl episode. Good topics today. Before we get into any of them, though, we're going to introduce ourselves. I'm Alex.
What's up? I'm Clark on my good days.
And I'm Lily.
And I'm
And
Adrian.
and Adrian, there we go. We have a guest on, and his name is Adrian. Adrian, thank you for coming onto the show.
No problem. Happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into this fishbowl.
Hi, I'm Adrian. I make Let's Play videos, and I play mostly horror, sci-fi RPGs, and shooters. I also do a YouTube channel where I do story times, and you can find me at It's Adrian Lee at YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. Also, if you want to check me out, I'm also on The Midnight Shift, which we do narrations of creepypastas.
Spooky.
Thank you. Yeah, Adrian. Thank you for coming onto the show. We're excited to have you. I will quit talking, and I'm just going to spin this wheel to see what our first topic is. If this is your first time listening to a fishbowl, how it works is I have a wheel with a bunch of different topics on it, and none of the other guests, co-hosts know what they are. We're going to spin it, see what it lands on, and then we're going to talk about it. The first topic that we have is the Patterson-Gimlin film Stabilized. Have you guys seen? Now everyone knows the Bigfoot Patterson-Gimlin film. You know, it's the classic one. It's the very first one out there. But have you guys seen it stabilized?
Yes. It is jarring.
Yes.
I think I've seen an AI enhanced version of it, so you can see more of like the muscle movement, and that gives it more validity because it's not just a guy in a suit, because the suit wouldn't have those muscle tendons. So you can actually see like all the joints and stuff moving.
That's pretty cool. I
Now-
don't think I've seen that.
I don't
Yeah,
think I've seen.
There's also
Yeah.
I've heard that they narrowed it down so much that they think that it's actually a female Bigfoot because
No
of the
fucking
actual-
way.
Yeah, because of the movement actually of the breasts and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've heard that. I've heard that
Really?
same thing, that it was a female Bigfoot and not necessarily a male one. You as the audience member, if you've not seen it, I will put it in the Discord hangout area so you guys can follow the link and check it out. But it's really interesting to watch it stabilized. Whoever did that, or whoever has like that capability of, you know, doing that on their computer, who has the time to like actually like match it up, it's amazing to see it, and to see it in like a smooth fashion. Now, my only thing is, do you guys think it's a real Bigfoot, or do you think it's just someone in a costume?
See, that's the thing. I was into it before having seen it as stabilized, and now seeing the new footage, it just completely turned me off. I don't know that I believe it anymore.
Okay.
To me, it made it look even more that it was either a person in a suit or I don't know what, but it didn't do it for me.
So there's been a lot of people that have come out now who are claiming. Now, once again, it's claims. I'm not saying for or against, but claiming they were the one that made the suit, and also people that are claiming they were the ones that were in the suit. What makes this story fascinating is that so it's always called the Patterson-Gimlin film. Now, for a long time, it was just called the Patterson film, and his brother, I believe it was the one that was actually really trying to put that out and get money off it, like actually try to make some kind of like revenue off of the film. Gimlin was he was actually a true, like I'd say guide or scout, whatever you want to call it. Like, he was actually an outdoorsman that was actually there, and he firmly believed it for a long time. What he saw was real, but then people started coming out saying like, "Oh, I was the person that was involved in making the suit." Was there. So, I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility they made a suit so realistic that you could see sinew, muscle, or even like I said, just movement, like natural, I guess, movement shifting of weight of a creature kind of thing, outside of somebody wearing a suit. So I don't know. much like the Loch Ness, the doctor's photo, I'm kind of skeptical on the Patterson
Mhm.
Gimlin film.
Mm-hmm.
But I do find it fascinating that they were able to make somebody who was a skilled outdoorsman believe it for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Adrian, what do you think?
I believe I saw something on YouTube a while back. I don't know which channel it was, but they basically had, even back then in the 80s, they were trying to figure out how they can hoax that clip. And they
Mm-hmm.
had like the best people in prosthetics and CGI, and they couldn't recreate it. So they had Jim Henson and Disney try to create the suit, and they
Huh.
couldn't make it as good as that footage. And this was in like what 1960 or something like that. That film. So like if the technology had advanced so much up to the 80s at this point, and they still couldn't recreate something where back in the 60s they were able to make it so realistic, and then like you have people who are like forensics who say like you can see the exact joints and movements, whereas in a suit it would just be one bulky movement.
Mm-hmm.
Like you wouldn't see that much detail. So like for me, that's why it's considered the best cryptic video, like still to this day, even though it's like decades old.
My
Very
own
interesting.
my only thing that I can't get behind is the face. For some reason, the face in the film,
Mm-hmm.
it looks and I understand, like, Ari, if, like, animals, like, look at people in the wilderness, like, you move around, they turn their heads, they look at you, but I to me, it's too perfect of a shot. I feel like it's in the open, walking straight across, looks directly at the film, and then just keeps on going. Whereas, like, I feel like you hear other stories of, like, these Bigfoots, these creatures, these cryptids, throwing rocks, throwing trees. Why is it that this particular Bigfoot? Now I get it. Every probably Bigfoot is different, but why in this instance was this Bigfoot just minding its own business, just walking when they were probably what 100 to 200 feet away from this thing? Like, why was it not more territorial? Especially if a female, you think that, like, okay, if they had a young baby with it, or I don't know. I just feel like it's just like those little pieces to me just make it just a little bit hard to believe. Now that's just my own opinion. I hope there's a Bigfoot. I love cryptids. That would be awesome if there was a Bigfoot. Everyone who's listened to the show knows my stance on my belief that the Bigfoot is an alien scout, but we're not going to go there right now. But that, just for the film purposes, it's just something about the face. It's just it doesn't look right to me. Now, again, you had said that Disney, or correct, that tried to
Disney and Jim
recreate the suit.
Henson. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were the top of the like prosthetics and animation game, so nobody was better than them.
Do you think now possibly that they might have spent like years and years making this suit, taking these shots? Like, maybe this wasn't the first time that they went out there and did that. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was like they spent years making the suit and then going out there, finding the perfect location to set everything up to do this one shot. But maybe there was prior times that they had shot this. And this is coming from like a skeptic point of view where it's not real. Do you think that's something that possibly could have been done?
Well, I mean, you've already listed off their CV. They're like not like prosthetics or like costume designers. Like it's a lot of skills, especially back in the technology back then was very like not as sophisticated as it is today. So
Mhm.
they were doing everything by hand, and the quality of artificial uh elements that they would use are just non-existent at the time. So like it would have looked a lot more like, I don't know, the Wizard of Oz type of like
Okay.
Oh,
materials and
oh,
costume.
like the lion, like the Cowardly Lion, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
more like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it would have been like easy to tell that it's fake or it's just like a man in a suit. Whereas like fast forward to like a couple decades and like you have things that can like really creep you out in like 1980s horror films that seems so real that it could be,
Mm.
so like I just think that if you can go that far in the 60s. Like I think it's like the best fake ever. Then, and if you can beat like the best like costume designers in the world, like I don't know, these guys don't seem like the type of that wily.
That's okay. Okay. Clark,
Yeah,
you seem like you had something to say.
yeah, it would definitely take a monumental effort, like artistically, because exactly, what Adrian just said is like, we're not far from seeing like the H.R. Giger era of like the xenomorph from Alien. That's in '79, and that's like
Mm.
a decade away basically, and like that, if you put that out in the wild, that suit, like it would convince people that that was a real thing probably.
Oh
So
yeah, especially like at
Yeah.
dusk or something like that, and you just crawled around a little bit. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So like but going back to it, the thing that gets me is that they would have to pull the wool over Bob Gimlin's eyes, because like I said, he was a legit like outdoorsman scout guy. Like he was armed that day. It's amazing. If somebody was in the suit and he didn't take a shot at it, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Well, do you think he was just at awe at like what he was seeing? Like he wasn't sure what it was. Like
it's
yeah,
possible. Some people will freeze. Even the most experienced people will freeze sometimes if they're not, you know, like I said, I hate to say not killers, but you know what I mean? Like if you're
Mm-hmm.
not,
Yeah.
like some people don't just draw and shoot, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
even if you are a skilled outdoorsman and you know something is a threat and you know when to draw and shoot, sometimes you see stuff and you're gonna be like, I don't really know what I saw. So
Yeah.
Especially if it's an animal that you've never seen before and you're an
exactly.
expert in wildlife.
Yeah. So like, that's the thing is like if Bob Gimlin has always been the anchor to this film, where he's always gone on record and been a pretty reliable witness saying like, I didn't have anything to do with it if it was fake.
Mm-hmm. I
Hmm.
think really what pulls me out of it is just a few little details that to me, and again, I'm not no specialist with wildlife or animals or even cryptids, but it's just the speed at which it was running away, which to me doesn't seem very urgent or very scared. And the fact that it looked back, and I agree with you, it seemed prompted, maybe not rehearsed, but the way that it looked back facing the people that it was running from, and still on this careful little tippy tap running away. I don't know. It just, yeah, it doesn't work for me.
My theory, though, is that it's kind of like how deers are caught in their headlights and it's just
Mm-hmm.
staring at you, but it doesn't want to turn away in case you charge at it. So it's just slowly backing off into the woods.
Well,
No,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
that's primate behavior. So, I mean, that's what we do as humans. You don't want to threaten,
Mm-hmm.
you don't wanna make eye contact. You don't want to, unless you know what you're looking at. Like if it's a feline or something, with felines, you want to make eye contact with them because you want to let them know that you see them. Like
Mhm.
yeah,
different predators attack differently. But like I said, normally I'm the skeptic here, but since Seth's not here, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Also leaving a watering hole in the
Mm-hmm.
film, like it's leaving a source of water and going back into the woods. So maybe it was just there for a specific reason and then going back into its shelter, kind of, or its,
Yeah.
it would explain why he's or she isn't like in a clearing that's like exposed because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
water sources will not have a lot of trees.
Okay. Okay. Well, all right. I think we stayed on Bigfoot long enough. I mean, we could probably talk Bigfoot for
Okay.
hours, whether we think it's
Yes.
real or not. Um, like I said, I will drop the link to the stabilized actual film in the Discord. So if you, the audience member, want to check it out, or you can just go to YouTube and probably type it in. You can find it that way too. But before we go on, do you believe in Bigfoot? Yes or no? We'll just go around the board. I say yes. Like yeah, like
A
yes. Not
careful
all.
yes.
Yeah, careful yes. Clark, what do you think?
I I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm skeptic eternally. It's hard. I love it in literature, and I will write about it, but I don't think I just don't really think we're gonna. Yeah, I don't think. I know.
It's
It's
your
a no.
no. It's
Yeah,
your
it's a no.
no. Lily?
I love the idea of Bigfoot, and I think there's something like that out there, but this video is a no for me.
Okay. And Adrian?
Uh, hesitant, yes. So I think an analogy would be like the panda, where like a lot of zoologists thought that it was a myth, but then eventually they found a panda in the 70s, and then it wasn't so much a myth anymore. So it's possible that it exists. I know a lot of zoologists say that primates that size can't possibly exist in North America, but they were wrong about the panda bear. They could be wrong about Bigfoot.
Well,
That's
I
good.
want to do an appendix question, I guess, to that. If it's not in North America, because like I said, the only places it can possibly be in North America, actually, even the Everglades, the skunk ape version of it, we've pretty much scoured. But the Pacific Northwest, maybe. But do you think something like the Yowie, or like in Australia, or some of the other abominable snowmen that you think in like Siberia, or even the regions where China and actual Russia meet and everything like that, like close to Siberia and things like that. Do you think it's more probable that those areas would yield a creature like that we just haven't found? Or do you
Personally,
think, yeah,
I
or
don't
just
think
the Northwest? So
I don't think they could possibly live out there, but I don't know the geography of that territory. I know the geography of the Pacific because I lived there. So
mhm.
I could definitely see like larger animals living out there. But I really don't know anything about Australia. I have been there once, but I don't think there's enough food there for them to survive off of.
It's
But
very true. Very true.
That's a
yeah,
good point.
Yeah.
North America totally can see it.
Yeah.
My thing is like there's polar bears. And polar bears can survive in the wild, like they hunt for
Hmm.
their food source. They take dips into water, they do just fine in, Arctic environment. Um I would
It's also
I
why they're
would
so aggressive. They kill everything they see.
Yeah.
yes. And see, but I just thought about this too. Wouldn't we see like a torn up polar bear possibly?
Yeah.
At some
Yeah.
point, if there was like a Yeti or an abominable snowman somewhere,
Mm,
you don't
no,
think
no,
so?
they're definitely where the sightings of, whatever Bigfoot, whatever Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it, in whatever language, Yowie, everything, uh, never would come in contact with polar bears. It might come in contact with brown bears, grizzlies, maybe even Kodiaks, or
Mhm.
the polar the polar brown bear hybrids that are now coming down from Alaska. But like I just don't, I don't think there's no coexistence there. You never
Okay.
hear anything where actually polar bears like strictly exist. There's not any Bigfoot sightings.
Okay. Okay. Well, like I said, we could probably talk about this and debate it for hours, but we'll get
Yeah.
going on our next topic. That was a good one to start off with. But I don't have an exact date on this next one, but scientists grow a human. Now, let me read
Mm.
part of
Meat
the article.
bags?
Yeah.
Is it the comeback
Yeah.
of the meat bags? Where's Seth?
Totally, oh, I totally forgot about the meat
Yeah.
bag thing. I had all right. Let
Inside
me.
joke.
Yes.
uh, Lily, do you remember what we were talking about for the meat bag thing?
I
Um,
do.
gosh, I want to say that it was COVID related.
Was it COVID or
But
like
now,
cloning? Was it
Yeah,
like
oh,
Seth was saying
yes,
that he thought that people basically could, I guess,
just swap their organs. Yeah.
yeah, in utero kind of thing, like
Mm-hmm.
grow basically meat bags for basically
Goodness.
whatever you wanted to like use them for, if it was organ transplant or if it was blood
Mm-hmm.
transfusion or whatever. Basically, yeah, using test tube babies as an extension of
Yeah.
or like the greater, like extending life for the rich or whatever. Basically,
Lily-
As I remember, no brain
Yeah.
because that's the limit.
no brain.
Yes, yeah, that was the thing. Was
Can't go
okay.
to
So you know
brain.
what? Before we get on this topic, you know what? Let's ask Adrian this, okay? Because I think I remember what we were
Uh-oh.
talking about. Okay, so if you could, let's say, make a clone of yourself, right? And
Hell no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
hold on. We didn't get to ask you the question yet.
Okay, go ahead.
There's
of
layers
So-
to it.
You could clone yourself, right? But the other clone of yourself didn't have a brain, so it was essentially just like an empty vessel, like no brain, you know. And like let's say you needed a new heart or a new stomach, a kidney, something like that. Would you do it? Do you think it's ethical, or where would you draw the line in that?
I would say probably not the brain, because I think that's a fair point. It's like essential to the human quote unquote soul or whatever.
Mhm.
But organs, I guess, intestines, all that, I guess I'm fine with that. So I think what I would say is just everything but the head.
So, so there'd have to be a way to grow a human without a head, and you'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I think if it's me, yeah, then I might have some spare parts. That's fine. The face, I can always get a new one.
When you say everything but the head, immediately my mind went to, well, like that's how we eat chicken or turkey. Like, you know,
Yeah,
the thing
but
you do
it's
is chop the
I don't know
head
how
off.
the mechanics would work. That maybe they can just pump it full of chicken and turkey, like in the stomach directly to keep it going.
All right.
It would have to be something like that. So okay, so all right, that's good to know. All right, so this kind of drives our the next topic thing. But that's what Lily was referencing. Water
Mhm.
your meat bag. um,
Somebody
But-
meme that.
Yes.
So the article goes: scientists grow a whole model of human embryo without sperm or egg. Scientists have grown an entity that closely resembles an early human embryo without using sperm, egg, or a womb. The institute team says that the embryo model made using stem cells looks like a textbook example of a real 14-day-old embryo. So, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
First question, where is this happening? What country?
Let me see if it says.
$20 on China.
It doesn't say. The Weizmann Institute, Weizmann Institute. If someone wants to look that up, where that might be.
Checking.
Sounds Switz.
It
Or-
almost does. Weizmann.
Let's
or
see.
possibly
You said
Austrian.
WEIZ? Is
Weizmann.
Israel.
Israel? Yeah.
Israel.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Weizmann Institute of Science.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. So let me. All right. So
I'm not going to say anything about Israel.
Okay.
Yeah, let's not.
Israel, don't come for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Not today.
I don't want to be on their bad side. They have a history of finding people.
Yeah, right. So for this though, besides like okay, just location wise, don't even worry about that. But as far as being able to grow what seems to be like a human without using sperm, egg, or the womb, possibly growing a human, do you think it's almost like the meat bag thing? Do you think we're going in the right direction where it's possible that we can now create a living being, a human in a sense, with like go ahead, Clark.
They have to have genetic material somehow.
Mhm.
Like you can't synthesize this stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's not. There has to be genetic material. You can't just say there's no sperm, no egg, nothing. Like I mean, they can map the human genome. You can manipulate what we already have, but there has to be some kind of genetic material to create life.
So what? But let's just throw a hypothetical out. Let's just throw a what if out there that this creates essentially just a blank human being. Like it's still like it grows arms. It just like arms start to grow because I don't think you need genetic coding to make an arm, like to make a personality, to like to like who a person is. I would say yes, but to just create a blank slate, I don't think you'd need that to grow an arm. Because like look at them, they were able to grow an ear on a mouse's back,
But that was
right?
using mouse already. Like there's still like you're talking about creating the building blocks of life. Like
Hmm.
what are they doing? Like that would be something so far and beyond even like Oppenheimer just came out here recently, like finding out splitting the atom. Like that would be so far. We've mapped the human genome, but you can't create the human genome. You can't just build it out of nothing. Like there has to be something as a base. Like I
Okay.
just see I don't see there being like an ability to take atoms like that. That would be a monumental thing, and we would
Mhm.
definitely know more about it if they were able to push atoms together and create life out of nothing versus
Yeah.
having some kind of genetic base to start with.
Okay. Okay. Adrian,
Yeah.
Lily, what do you guys think?
Go ahead.
Scientifically, I know nothing about how that would even start to work. But
Hmm.
when you talked about first, I thought about ethically and legally, what does this thing, this being, fall into? What label is that? Is that a clone? Is that an object? It can be a human, can it now? Um, would this thing be able to talk, to have a personality, to make memories? And I'm just wondering what are the implications of just building this thing, because we learn, I don't want to say every day, but we learn that things we didn't suspect before can have feelings, can have memories and all of that. So would that apply to this thing that we're building, to this pile of mush? I don't know that I feel comfortable calling it a human.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's
Adrian?
definitely questions after questions.
I mean, I was thinking of the CRISPR babies, like in China, where they're genetically, like augmenting the human genome, in the womb to have like a cosmetic baby. So it's basically like I feel like it's somewhere along the lines of that and surrogate pregnancy, because
Hmm.
you're still taking actual genetic material from other human beings and then just making another one. So it's not too far off from that, and I feel like it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be as normal as rhinoplasty, I think.
Yeah.
Oh.
Um,
Oh no, yeah, definitely.
Did
Like
the
it's
article that you found said specifically without a womb, sperm, or nothing like that?
Um. Yeah. Yeah.
and while he's looking,
Yep.
I'll go ahead and interject and say, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. This is stuff we've talked about since the late or mid '90s, honestly, when they were still mapping the human genome. He's it's like they're we've always wanted to manipulate that stuff. I mean, I have a story I want to write kind of based on that without giving away too many details based on how we can correct that stuff. But the CRISPR babies, like he's saying, but still, it needs genetic material to.
Right, just like Dolly, right? The sheep.
Yeah, you got to have something as a base. You can't just create life from nothing. Um, but you can manipulate it now, and that's scary that we have
Mm-hmm.
the ability to do that now. And like I said, it's not something that people haven't already spoke on. Hideo Kojima, if Seth was here, he'd back me up on that. We're both Kojima fans. He's talked about it since gosh, forever, but really the mid '90s, talking about human genome and how people will run with that and not only create take out certain, I guess, things they don't want in a person and add things in they want in a person and create, maybe use that for war or maybe use it for science. Maybe you want somebody who comes out more intelligent, or maybe it comes out somebody who's more, built for aggression and war and things like that. So you can start creating these test tube babies that will be built for certain uh, jobs before they even know who they are as a person. Basically, they're just going to have inclinations towards a certain thing. So you can build perfect athletes. You can build, perfect soldiers. You can build perfect scientists. And for me personally, I think it's going to go a step beyond that, and they're going to do diets for things like that.
Diets? What do you mean by that?
I mean, if you want a protein heavy diet for somebody, if you want to build like the Brock Lesnar's of the world, if you want to build people who are genetic freaks, who are just athletically gifted, things like that, maybe they're going to shift their diet that way too, where it's maybe protein heavy, carbs for this, that, and then with scientists, they're going to do certain like nutrient heavy, uh, kind of things where it's like, oh, well, this is more brain building because we've kind of have an idea that these fruits and these, kale, these vegetables, these things are going to actually encourage brain growth and things like that. So, like, there's subtle ways we can manipulate the human body, but we're all right now. Everyone here has grown up in the same environment, so whatever we've done to our bodies has been generally the same. But if governments decided things like this, like, now that we've mapped the human genome, we know we can manipulate certain things. It's like we can grow these people to be athletic aggression freaks. We can grow these people to be, thinkers and scientists and things like that.
Now, my only thing with that now, are you saying, okay, so like, you bring in that like the government could create like these test tube babies. Now, do you not think that has some sort of like there would be some sort of like ethical or some sort of uproar about that to like if the government were to come out and be like, yep, we're going to set up a program where we're going to create test tube babies, you know, or do you think it would be something where like they would do it behind closed
I
doors,
was gonna
not
say,
tell
do
and
you think we'd know about that?
I was going to say, do you think they would tell us?
Probably not
but
until
They
like
would just do
30
it.
years
so my
after that.
my only question then is, do you think they would do like one or two babies, keep them locked up and see
Mm-mm.
how they are? Or do you think it'd be something where it's like they create hundreds and then like you were saying 30 years from now, open up the doors and it's like they have hundreds of these genetically modified super soldiers or like these star athletes, and it's like where did these people come from? Do you think it'd be something like that? Because
I hope not.
that I feel like as soon as like that were to like, like people were to figure that out, or if that were to like, oh, the government is doing something like that, there would just be an uproar, and there would just be like, I don't know. I think there would be it would be bad. I don't think people would be too happy with that.
I could totally see, 4 years from now, just a succession of maybe 23andMe type of, testing your blood, testing your genetics, then you're like, how am I the same as 50 other people here in just the
Mm,
state? How does that work? And I truly believe that it could, the story could break out like that. Because I believe it has happened for a doctor, was it a fertility doctor or something like that?
oh
Has
yeah.
impregnated a bunch of men and they found out that they were related to the children, something like that.
Yeah, that's
Don't
in
quote me on that,
Canada.
sorry. Oh, okay, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I'm in
So,
Canada. I know about that doctor.
uh-huh,
Oh,
I truly think
What
that
do
something like that could happen.
Yeah, he's taught in our history books. So, yeah.
No way!
Yeah.
That's
He's
pretty cool.
in Toronto. Yeah,
can you
his children are still alive today,
they did
walking
a
around.
they did like a Netflix documentary, like a Hulu documentary on that, didn't they?
This is
I don't
familiar.
know about that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it on
Okay.
our local news on the anniversary because I think last year was like an anniversary of that event when they found out through the court cases.
Holy cow! Whatever happened to the doc? Like, I'm sure he had to have gotten in huge trouble for that.
Oh yeah, he's in jail for sure.
Okay,
Oh,
okay. I
I
was
don't
gonna
think he
say
got away with that.
I was gonna say I would hope because I know we're getting a little off topic with this, but it what I guess what was like the process of that? Was it these women were going in with like wanting to become pregnant and they had like specific donors or like like I want this tube and he's like okay and he just switched it with his I guess his own tube
I
that
think some cases
himself.
were their husbands. I think I'm pretty
Okay.
sure if I remember, maybe not all of them, but a few wanted to be impregnated, or sorry, I don't know the scientific term, but with the husband's genetic material, it ended up he did a good old switcheroo.
Yeah, that's what happened.
So
And
I guess what was the point of it? Why was he doing this?
so, I don't know what the terminology called, but in psychology, it's basically a man who wants to have his genetics passed on all over the world and to spread everywhere. So it gives him sort of like power to know that his like offspring, which is an offshoot of himself, is all
Uh-huh.
over the world. So like, I don't know. I heard Elon Musk is one of those type of people. That's why he like has so many babies with so many
Why
different
does
women.
why does that not surprise me?
Well, historically, the only person I can think of that's actually done it is Genghis Khan.
Yeah,
I
I
was
was gonna
gonna say,
say.
don't we all have Genghis Khan?
Yeah,
Isn't it like
we all
that's the running joke? Is like
That's-
we're all traced back to him?
yeah, pretty much a majority, like, is there a huge percentage of the world actually can trace it back to him, which is
That's
nuts. That is
amazing.
insane.
So I guess kind of bringing it full circle, coming back in. Would you, I guess, be okay? Like, so with these scientists creating this, okay, so let's say that they do take, genetic material from a human. Like, all right, so they
Mhm.
got the start, like they got this embryo going, and what they need is just a little bit of genetic material. And let's say it's just to create like an arm or a leg or like, a specific thing. Would you guys be okay with that? Or do you think that's a good idea? Maybe not necessarily an entire human, but the ability to create organs in that sense. I mean, I would say yes, like the ability to like then I mean, if they have that, then it's like all right, organ donors, like the people because it was it the kidney? Like there's just a hella long list for kidneys or something like that. And if they're able to like create kidneys from like this, would that not be a good idea? Or is that am I thinking like, all right, that's maybe not a good idea? Is there any
think
ramifications from it?
I think maybe it might be a good idea, but I don't think that I trust the world we're living in right now. People are gonna make profit out of it, and it probably isn't gonna be created the way that we would want. Shortcuts are gonna be taken, so I'm not sure if we're there yet.
Okay.
Um, I was gonna say that we already have like pig kidneys. Like
Hmm.
doctors successfully like transplanted a pig kidney to a human patient. So one of them I believe did die because it went awry,
Oh,
but like another one did succeed. So I think we just stay in the animal uh harvesting first, and then we'll just put off the human thing until we master that. That way we don't have that ethical dilemma, because
Okay.
otherwise I think it's a slippery slope to
mm-hmm.
just start with organs to possibly humans to like creating super soldiers. So yeah, it's a dangerous society. The other thing I wanted to bring up is like I'm thinking of sci-fi shows, and a lot of
Hmm.
these touch on this. So have any of you guys seen Stargate, like the TV
Yeah.
series? Okay, so you know the Asgards. They're
Mm-hmm.
essentially clones of clones, and they've lost their ability to procreate.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is, after all these genetic copies, they don't have like a perfect genome where it's just gone like messed up. So now they're having health issues and they're all dying off because they're all sterile and they can't procreate. So
It's
they
kind
have
of
to
like
find,
inbreeding in a way, no?
yeah, but with no
Mm-hmm.
genitals basically,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
eggs. So they
But
had to find like their genetic like original form to then try to recreate the civilization. But in the end it failed, and then their civilization collapsed because they couldn't make more Asgards.
Hmm.
See, I also bring that up that I don't think that like the government would care. That's almost a fail-safe. You create these
Short-term thinking.
Yeah, you create these perfect things,
Mhm.
and then short term, yeah, they're gonna die out anyway. So you don't have to clean up the mess. They're not gonna grow out of control.
Yeah, kind of like the replicants in Blade Runner.
Yeah,
They have a
yeah,
time
exactly.
limit.
Yeah, time limit. Yep, exactly.
Didn't I think it's at Grindhouse, didn't he bring that up with like the clones of like the sheep that had been made, like the lifespan on like these cloned, like this is it just like they weren't living as long as a normal um like what was like a sheep. Do you know what I'm talking about, Clark? Do you remember him
Yeah,
bringing that
yeah,
up?
yeah. The same, and it's also like, and I hate to go off topic on there, but it's the same as like our fear with AI. Like AI might grow out of our control, but it's the same thing. It's like we want to keep things like if we do these crazy experiments, and I'm just saying we as like a, a society. Um,
Hmm.
if something grows out of your control, then yeah, I mean, you've failed technically. Like you've succeeded, but you failed also. Uh, but yeah, he was saying like things like Dolly and things like that, like the sheep, and all that, like they're technically genetically perfect, but they're also inferior. They're gonna age faster and they're gonna die faster, and that's also another Hideo Kojima thing. Solid Snake and all the like I said, if Seth was on here, he'd be right here backing me up. But that's
His
a
ears
thing.
are probably ringing this morning.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's the thing that's touched on with that is that aging, like rapid aging and things like that. That these clones are going to break down because you have telomeres, which is the ends of basically your genetic code, and they as you age, they break down. And I'm doing like this thing with my hand because it's literally how telomeres break down. So I had to put it on camera so you can see what I was doing. Um, they break off basically and they shorten, and your telomeres shorten. And if we found out a way to genetically like lengthen telomeres, you could basically make life. We could be vampires basically. We could be immortal.
Is
Um,
this the same thing? Is this why that one guy? Wait, I think it was the last Fishbowl. The guy who like transfers his son's blood to him to try to live.
Ugh.
Like
yeah,
he
but
does like blood transfusion
What?
type shit.
yeah, but
Okay,
it's
that's
Yeah.
not.
kind of weird.
Yeah, lengthening telomeres is pretty much it's your genetic degradation basically.
Hmm.
So you're breaking down constantly, and like I said, your chromosomes, telomeres is what it's like the ends of those, and they're breaking down constantly. Um, and if we find a way to actually restore that, you can theoretically extend life eternally.
No
So,
thanks. I'm good.
Yeah.
but what happens?
Immortality is overrated.
Yeah, what happens with these clones is their telomeres break down faster, so
Mhm.
they basically age quicker. So
But would
it's like,
but like
yeah.
even if you found out how to do that, wouldn't like mentally
Oh
like
yeah,
your brain?
you go nuts. You would go
Yeah,
absolutely insane.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you look. Go ahead, Adrian.
No, I was just thinking it's like the Marvel's Eternals, where like Athena basically goes crazy because her brains just take up so much memory from living so long that it's starting
Mm.
to like have a 404. Um, so I did actually see like a YouTube video of somebody explaining what it would be like to become immortal, and basically like it does not end well, and you kind of become alienated, isolated, kind of like uh what's his name? Ultraman, where he's on
Mm.
Earth and he outlives everybody, and he thinks that he's superior to everybody because he can't die. And then eventually, once you get past certain centuries, you become so enlightened, but then other people are afraid of you because they forgot the memory of like when the time that you came from. So you just became like a god or like a devil. So then people will crucify
Ooh.
you.
Yeah.
So it's not great being immortal because eventually you're gonna hit a point where like it's just not fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just watching the people over the years that you would make connections with and love, and then they die. But you would get to a point where you've had so many of those, and then you become a myth, you become a celebrity, then you become a freak, then you become,
Bigfoot.
pariah.
Oh my god.
Did we just come full circle?
I think so.
Because the pariah.
The man, the legend.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Adrian.
No, that's it. I was just
Okay. Well, I mean, I think final thoughts on that is it's kind of iffy whether we should do it or not. Clark gave a thumbs down, so
Let's just let our lifespans be. Let's let evolution do its thing.
my only thing, and this is the last thing I'll say on it, is like I feel like if you can create something to help someone live like a healthier life, and it doesn't take another human to give something up, and you're able to do it like just from like a petri dish, and it's successful, I say why not. I do agree with you, Lily, on it though, that I feel like there might be some like, all right, it's going to be fucking expensive, because why not? Because they can make it that way. Like where else are you going to get an extra arm, or where else are you going to get something that's going to help you? They're going to make it thousands and thousands of dollars. And you're right too. Like they could make it not like perfect. It could have some, drawbacks to
Fail-safes,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but that's my stance on it. Lily, Adrian, what do you guys think?
I think it's
I
just
don't
basically
know.
almost like stem cells. We're already like growing like parts for humans anyways. And as long as we keep it to animals, I'm pretty much peachy with the whole thing. But
Okay.
I don't think it's necessary to go human if we can figure that part out.
I don't
And
know
Lily?
that. And again, I don't know how, if that quote unquote person were to continue on living, what they would be legally. I don't know how that, like, if you kill it, is it murder? What is it? Destruction of property? How? I don't know. I have just a lot of questions, and I'm not sure I understand the purpose. I don't think.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I think it's everyone's gonna have mixed feelings about it, and I think it still has a long ways to go, and that's all right. Okay, we're going to be going on to our next topic. For this one, you guys are going to probably have to click out of the area and go to listener hangout um, room and chat. That's where I'm going to provide the link. The topic it's a link to Reddit, but it's dinosaurs never existed. It's this woman. It's a TikTok video. You got to watch it. She kind of goes into depth with it, and then I want to hear you guys' feedback on it. If we can, I'm going to try to get Seth to plug the audio of this into the actual episode, so you, the listener, can actually listen to it. But you guys go ahead right now, go click that link, and let me tell. I'll quit talking. You guys just listen to it.
If dinosaurs actually existed, wouldn't their bones be everywhere? Let's all put our critical thinking skills to the test this morning. So why is it that the average Joe has never dug them up? Like, why haven't you or I or anyone we know ever found a bone? And another thing, bones can completely decay within 20 years. But these people are finding fossils that are intact, that still have teeth attached, from 76 million years ago. And if you're watching this video and have found a dinosaur bone, I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear the story. Message me. I honestly believe they put these creatures in front of us and made us believe it because of this. After all of our fallen ancestors have always talked about the Nephilim. The fallen angels. Yeah, big-ass giants. And if the meteor thing truly happened, if something of that magnitude was to hit Earth, it'd be something like 10,000 nuclear bombs going off. How didn't everything get obliterated? There wouldn't be anything left, let alone bones. It's easy to connect the dots once your eyes are open. It's just another thing they made up to keep us from the truth. Truth is, giants existed.
All right. What are you guys' thoughts on all that?
Nope.
First
Very
off,
interesting.
I think she flunked science, and Bill Nye is rolling his eyes. somewhere. First of all, your teeth is the thing that's going to last the longest. Like, that's why like forensics always check for teeth histories, because most likely they'll survive whatever, like even being on fire. So like that's why teeth are still attached. In terms of finding bones of dinosaurs, yes, regular Joes have found bones. It's been, I've seen it on like countless news stories before. It's always funny. I literally have a megalodon's teeth sitting on my window. It's just a small tooth, but like, yeah, it's like you can buy this on Amazon or whatever, so it's not that big a deal. There's so many that you can find them online, so it's not that rare.
There's also a very big thing we need to address. First off, she was saying that bones basically desiccate like over 20 years or whatever. So dinosaur bones are not bone anymore. They are fossilized.
No.
Yeah, and they're also beneath the earth where it's like kept and preserved. So like,
yeah, they're not even calcium anymore. They're not bone anymore. They are rock. They are fossilized. So they have literally emulsified into a different,
like
geologic. Yeah, like substance. They're not bone anymore like you would think they are bone. So when you see dinosaur bones, they're not bone anymore. They're not like your teeth. They're not like your bones that are in your skin right now. They have fossilized. So she was wrong already just geologically in what she was saying. So let's just get that out of the way.
Okay.
Yeah. Grade 11
right.
science. The other point I wanted to address is the Nephilim thing. Like, I know that's a really fun, like, crazy juice topic, but like, honestly, the easy thing to discount this is that kings and rulers, they always make themselves look grander. They always say things like they descended from gods, and so like they tell that they're like, giants or whatever. But like that's just their way to create a myth so that people will remember them for ages. And it worked. So there's no like human giant bones of like Gilgamesh or anything like that.
Okay. Lily?
I was listening. I'm not gonna lie. I was listening. Through all the, I'm not gonna say BS, but BS. And then she brought up the Nifflins, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Okay, let's have fun. Giants, why not? But putting together next to each other, the dinosaurs never existed because of this. But let's just forget whatever I said because this applies to giants instead. Lady, now you're not even making sense within your own little world here. So I don't know. And I love it. I love giants, Agartha. I'm here for it, but she just didn't make sense there.
I think it would be interesting to try to get a hold of her and bring her on to talk about this, like in depth. Like I think the video has her like her TikTok name or tag. I will try to make contact with her and see if she'd be willing to come on here and see if she would be willing to do an hours long length video podcast about why dinosaurs never existed. Like I would like to hear this in depth because I think when you do throw some like science facts at her, like what you were saying, Clark, with like it's not bone anymore, it's a fossil. Like I'm interested to see what she would have to say to counter that. And to see if she'd be like, no, like it's not because of X, Y, and Z. Now, again, like we'll try to keep emotions to a minimum.
Keep my blood pressure down. I got doctors watching me.
But yeah, it's if you, the audience member, if you haven't listened to it yet, or it's a very interesting video. Just a woman making a claim that like dinosaurs never existed. It's an interesting take. I will say that. But yes, I do feel like there's a lot, like scientifically, I think she just didn't look up some stuff. So I will try to figure out how to get her on and see if she'd be willing to, maybe even like a half-hour conversation. It doesn't have to be an hour long, but just getting her on here, letting her speak her mind. But you, the audience member, if you also believe that the dinosaurs never existed, I'd love to hear that piece to it. any other topics? Anything else we want to talk about as far as the dinosaurs never existed? Any final thoughts on that?
Yeah, I actually looked this up recently. I wanted to know like what early humans thought dinosaur bones were, and I've heard some really interesting takes. So the Greeks thought they were cyclops
Yep.
in Greek mythology.
Oh yes, yeah.
Well, that's actually not even dinosaurs. That's actually mammoth bones because the trunk has a big singular hole for the
Yeah,
nasal
so that's the
cavity.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they
Oh,
thought
hang on. I think it's a triceratops head. So they thought the hole in there was the eye,
yeah, it
where
was
the
the
eye
single
socket was.
eye. Yeah, where the
Yeah, yeah.
single
So,
eye
but
was.
it's a triceratops horn where the hole is. But I have heard also people thought that the mammoth, the hole where the trunk should be, is the eye
Yep.
as well. So, but there's two takes on this.
And that's a very geologically active area. A lot of volcanoes, a lot of earthquakes and things like that. So those bones were unearthed commonly. So they saw them and they kind of created a lot of the Greek myths based on those bones that would be unearthed.
Yeah, and in Asia they thought they were dragons.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I can go on a whole spiel about how dragons might exist, which I don't believe. But I saw somebody on YouTube, on like the dark side of YouTube, talk about how dragons did exist, and we had the dinosaur bones to prove them. But anyways, that's the short answer is no. But it was a fun take. What else? Yeah, I think other Western countries thought they were the early. I forgot what they're called, but the show Evangelion, the anime, talks about like the giants from the book of what is it? No, where like early humans were giants after they were banished from the Garden of Eden, and then humans gradually got smaller and smaller. So they thought they were like early humans.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah. So that's what early humans thought dinosaur bones were.
Interesting. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about a lot of different things on today's Fishbowl. Bigfoot, the embryo, dinosaurs never existing. Yeah, did we really only cover 3 topics?
I think so.
Yeah.
Was
We had
that
a lot.
it?
I think so.
Shit.
We had
Okay,
a lot
well-
to say, though.
We had a lot to talk about.
Why don't we? Does everyone want to do one more spin? Since the dinosaurs never existed was a little short.
I may
One more-
have to go soon, so I can slide one more in. But yeah, just so you know, I may have to go soon.
Okay. This is what we'll do.
Mm-hmm.
We'll wrap it up.
Mhm.
Just because if you have to go, we'll just make this a smooth transition out and everything like that. We've hit the hour mark. You, the listener, we'll have another Fishbowl very soon. We'll have more topics, everything. We should be able to cover a little bit more, but we only got to 3 different things. Your guys' final thoughts on all 3 things: Bigfoot, the dinosaurs, and what was the other one? Oh, the human embryo thing.
Yeah.
Yep. What are you guys' final thoughts on all that?
Some heavy hitters. That's a lot.
Mhm.
We unpacked a lot, I think. So
Yeah.
I think that if we can finally find Bigfoot's fossilized bones, we can prove that it lived long enough to become immortal, and now it's just a relic of a distant, long forgotten civilization.
we'll
Very
use
good.
we'll use Bigfoot's genetic material to enhance
Yes.
And Adrian, any final thoughts?
I think the first 2 topics that we talked about, Bigfoot and sorry, what was the second thing we talked about?
the embryo one, the human
The
embryo.
embryo,
One.
yeah. All things very plausible in the real world. Dinosaurs definitely are real. Get better, people.
Just get better.
Get better.
Well, hey,
Please.
you, the listener, if you enjoyed what you listened to, check us out on our social medias. We got plenty out there. We have a merch store now. It's at Zazzle. I can drop that into the descriptions and all of this stuff. So you can go there, get some stuff if you'd like to support us. Adrian, thank you for coming onto the show. If you want to, send our listeners one last tag just so they remember where to
Yeah,
find you.
sure. So you can find me at It's Adrian Lee on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. And you can also check me out at the Midnight Shift Creepypasta if you want to hear me narrate some creepypasta stories.
And we'll provide those links too in the description, so it's just a click away for you, the audience member. Hey, and remember that old saying here: we don't want what stuff. Oh, geez, I fucked it up. We don't want stuff that's normal. We want stuff that's effing weird.